April 22nd, 2025. Margot, please take it away.
For the benefit of the public, I will take a roll call again. Councilwoman Foster. Here. Councilman Iannicone.
Here.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Here.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Here.
Councilman Russo.
Here.
Councilman Silva.
Present.
Council President Umbriac.
Here.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. If we could please pause for a moment of silence. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, we have 4 items on the consent agenda. I will be taking them one by one this evening. Item number 1, approval of minutes from the April 8th, 2025 Town Council regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the April 8th, 2025
Second.
meeting.
Okay, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannicone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Abstain?
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbriac.
Yes.
Item number 2, block party approval for Sherman Place on June 14th, 2025, from noon to 10 p.m.
I'll make a motion to approve the block party.
Second.
Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannicone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbriac.
Yes.
Item number 3, facilities use approval, Our Youth, Their Future Annual Youth Education and Awareness Rally on June 14, 2025, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
I'll make a motion to approve the facilities use.
Second.
Councilwoman Foster.
Abstain?
Councilman Iannicone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbriac.
Yes.
Motion carries. And item number 4, facilities use approval for the Hope Day Festival on July 26, 2025, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
I'll make a motion to approve the facilities use.
I'll
Second?
Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannicone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Abstain.
Council President Umbriac.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I will open the floor for a public hearing on any matter. When called upon, please approach the microphone, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Be advised that any derogatory comments targeting members of council and/or administration may be ruled out of order.
Scott Wild, come on up.
Thanks, Nathan. Hi, I'm Scott Wild. I live at 52 Mill Street, and I'm here tonight to voice my appreciation for the members of the town council, the mayor, and his administration for your consideration of authorizing a public question on the ballot this November for our town to adopt an open space trust fund. I first became aware of the importance of this issue about 2 years ago when our town was presented with a revitalization plan for Burnham Park. Burnham Park is a town treasure, and I'm grateful to the many volunteers, especially Lynn and Don Siebert, who dedicate their time and talent to this fabulous green space, which is near my home and was gifted to all of us more than a century ago by the wise and visionary Burnham family. But as the revitalization plan made clear, it will take a significant investment of town resources and many years, likely decades, for the vision of that plan to be realized. And I would love for that vision to occur in all of our lifetimes. An open space trust fund will help us revitalize Burnham Park and all of the 16 parks around town. It will help us secure open space as it becomes available. And perhaps most importantly, having an open space trust fund will make Morristown eligible for grants from other sources that are not currently available to us, because we're one of the only towns in the county that doesn't have one. It's an investment of pennies that can pay off exponentially in the beauty and good health of our community. Morristown is a great place to raise a family. I've raised 4 kids here, and I hope to live out my life here. But it will be an even better place for everyone when we have an open space trust fund to preserve and improve our parks and green spaces. So again, I really appreciate your support for this initiative and putting it on the ballot so that we, the residents of the town, can hopefully vote affirmatively for it in November. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Scott. Yes, sir.
Good
Good evening. My name is Ken Dolsky. I'm a resident of Parsippany. I spoke to you about 2 weeks ago to introduce the Climate Superfund Act. I wanted to thank you for putting it on the agenda tonight, and I will also thank you in advance for passing it. Last time when I spoke, I talked about the increasing costs of climate, and I also mentioned some potential federal action like getting rid of FEMA that would increase costs for the state and local municipalities. In between that and then and now, somebody brought to my attention another potential increase, and it's like I said, it's potential, but it's on a list of 50 pages of potential cuts that the Republicans in Congress have put together to consider using those cuts in order to pay for their tax cut for billionaires. So again, it was on a list to be considered, but this item was really flabbergasting. It would eliminate the tax, ability to have muni bonds be tax-free, and would therefore raise the cost of borrowing and decrease the attractiveness of those bonds. So let me just tell you, and if you want any more information on this, just let me know, and I will send you an email with all this information. The fact that it's on the list is mind-boggling to me. But nevertheless, it is, and there was an article written about it. And it said, quote, "Another potential increased cost for municipalities is a consideration by Congress to eliminate the exemption of interest on qualified state and local bonds, such as upgrades to water and sewer systems, from federal income taxation. Elimination of the tax exemption would raise borrowing costs nationwide by more than $823 billion over the next 10 years. These costs will have to be passed on and are estimated to produce more than a $6,500 tax and rate increase for every American household and business." So the message is, however you look at it, costs are going up, and the Climate Superfund Act, if we can get it passed and get it put into action, will do some part to ameliorate your problem. So thanks for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Burns.
Good evening. My name is Bill Byrne. I live at 100 Franklin Street, Morristown. And now that spring is coming and stuff, and you're gonna get people, like electric scooters, electric bikes and stuff. And as town starts having things like jazz festivals and so forth, and like, food festival, like around fall and stuff like that, I think it's really time that we got to take our sidewalks back, because as the town gets crowded, and you have the theater opening up for shows and stuff, okay, we gotta, okay, if we're not gonna enforce the law, then maybe what they should do is, start like on the sidewalks and stuff and warn people that they gotta go slow on the sidewalks, because especially with the electric scooters, electric bikes. So if we're not gonna do enforcement, and law enforcement doesn't want to enforce, well, we're gonna have to do something, because as the town grows and we get more people living in the town, we gotta do something, to protect, us people that live in town, the foot traffic, but also protect our visitors, because, we depend on a lot of tourism here, for people to come to Morristown and visit. So I think, I'm gonna bring it up again, that we gotta get law enforcement to do some type of enforcement. If not, give tickets to people on the sidewalks if they're gonna speed down the sidewalk, because it's, it's very important as the town grows. So I think we gotta work on enforcement. Don't care how long it takes, but, I just feel as somebody that lives here, and people that are taxpayers that pay a lot of taxes in this town, you know, I think it's vitally important for our visitors. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. I'm Linda Langstaff Carrington. My address is 49 McCulloch Avenue. And thank you for considering this ordinance 19-2025. I'm here to support this, and I echo all the comments made by Scott Wild. And I'm prepared to be part of a committee to advocate to the public if you decide to approve this. So I hope you will look at this favorably. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carrington. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Judy Byard, 37 Overlook Road, and I also support the Open Space Trust Fund. And with the political climate, you know, it may be difficult to receive funds from other entities for environmental issues. So I urge the council to pass this so it can go on the ballot in November. And the other thing is I wanted to thank the Morristown Police who come out when the leaf blower, when the, you know, are making all that noise. Unfortunately, there's one company, I won't mention it, but they seem to, you know, we call and they still keep using their gas-powered leaf blowers for, in this case, not really doing a whole lot. So I just wanted to say thank you to the police. So and I think that was it, yeah.
Thank you.
And today's Earth Day. Happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day.
Thanks, Judy.
Thank you. Thank you. Kristen Ace.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Kristen Ace. I live at 24 Franklin Street, and I'm here representing the Morristown Shade Tree Commission. So yes, happy Earth Day. I just want to remind all of you that our Arbor Day celebration in Bud Park is coming this Saturday, starting at 10 a.m. It goes 10 to 12. There's coffee, hot chocolate, games, story time, yoga, tree giveaway. However, rain is in the forecast. So we will decide tomorrow if we need to postpone it till next Saturday. Same place, same time. It'll be all on the town social media if we change the date. The following day on Sunday, which proves to be a beautiful day, we are doing a Bud Park native garden planting, weeding and mulching. And we need some sweat equity, so we need help. So if you know people who would like to give us 2 hours of work, we would really appreciate it. We'll be there at 9 a.m. We have 15 yards of mulch to spread, and we have to weed before we do that. Please bring gloves and sturdy foot gear because it's messy and hard work. But it's fun, and we're great people, so please come because we need help. We have, the Morristown Shade Tree Commission is doing a tree planting and invasive species presentation awareness evening at the Morristown Public Library on Tuesday, April 29th at 7 p.m. It's free to the public. There'll be lots of really great information on how to take care of a tree, plant a tree, what are invasives, how to get rid of them. And we encourage the public to come to that. Separate note, as a resident, I also am encouraging you to vote yes for the Open Space Trust Fund. As somebody who not only works for the town as a volunteer, personally I do a lot of work in my area on green spaces, and this trust fund would enable us to have a maintenance team to take care of our green spaces and beautify Morristown. So I'm really hoping that you support this. And now back to Shade Tree Commission. Our next meeting is May 20th, 7 p.m., room 201. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate your support, and we appreciate your service. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Anyone else from the public? Yes, sir.
Ed Peters, 142 Washington Street. The last time I appeared here, I was in support of the pickleball courts at Lidgewood Park. Tonight, I'm here in opposition of building a beach volleyball court at Lidgewood Park. I think this is just asking for further expenditures in the future, in addition to possibly more noise complaints, because when I think of beach volleyball, I think of Top Gun and people playing music and playing volleyball. I think that's going to be loud. Also, when kids are down there with their families playing soccer, playing flag football, the younger kids of the family are going to go to the beach volleyball court and use it as a big sandbox. That's going to just be a mess. I imagine that's going to happen. People let their dogs run loose all the time in Lidgewood Park. Dogs are going to pee, dig, and poop in the beach sand of the volleyball court. Not to mention at night, we got the foxes that run all through that neighborhood doing whatever they're going to do in that beach sand. So for those reasons, I really object to, and also the net itself. If you destroy a net on a basketball court, you can still play basketball usually. But if that net on the volleyball court comes down or gets destroyed, that's just totally useless until the town maintenance crew comes and puts another one up. I just don't see the value of this, and I haven't heard anyone coming before you in support of that, unlike the 5 people that were here supporting pickleball the last time I was here. One other item. The purchase of the old inspection station on Ridgedale Avenue, I hope the town has a plan for that. I know we've been parking trucks there over the last few years. I've seen it. So if that's what it's for, $800,000 to do that, I don't know, it seems like a lot, but it's also a piece of property that's valuable. However, in support of pickleball, that location, no one would complain about pickleball noise at that location because there's no houses around it. So just throwing that out there. And the final thing, which I might put on the website tomorrow, in front of 2 Burnham Park on Burnham Parkway, there is a sign leaning into the roadway that is a safety hazard. Landscape trailers, big trucks, our garbage trucks probably, are hitting that sign. And I literally was walking my dog tonight before, and I literally pushed the sign, it's loose as the devil. So the town doesn't take care of it. I'm gonna come down there one night and just throw it on the ground. Because it's really bad, because people are hitting it when they drive through on the road. That's it for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Hi, guys. Amelia Nunn, 14 Erskine Drive. I was here a couple weeks ago speaking out against the pickleball courts, so just another voice in the room. Excited to hear what's in the budget to solve that problem. But just want to voice a thank you for putting the porta potties in, because we are not experiencing people coming behind the courts anymore, so a big thank you for that. We are still seeing a bunch of people playing pickleball outside the pickleball courts on the tennis courts, which negates the sound dampening. And so we're experiencing a lot of noise still, as you guys know. So just wanted to bring that up. Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to close public session. Council response to the public hearing comments.
You know, just, I would imagine we're going to talk about climate change with the resolution.
Yes.
But on Bill's point, one of the things that we're going to do, and if you need help doing it, we were going to pull the bicycle ordinance that we did that prevented people taking bikes over the age of 13 on the sidewalks. That may be the place where you do address the electric scooters and the electric bikes that are coming out. I go to an area every day where there is a lot of these bikes now, electric bikes with delivery on the sidewalk. So I think clarifying what Bill's talking about, and maybe what we can do is I'll pull it out and maybe Joanne and I can take a look at it. Because we were going to look at it, remember?
Right, right.
And I think it's going to be minor.
I think there is some language in there.
Yeah, there might be.
In our bicycle ordinance about not being on the property, on the sidewalk in the business district.
Yes, that already.
And that includes scooters, and I believe it is part of that.
So the ordinance is there?
They can actually
Yeah.
confiscate the scooters for 24 hours. Yes,
That's
Okay,
they can, if they so choose to.
okay, okay.
Okay, good.
Good.
Never mind.
Okay. Anything else, Bob? Okay. Yes,
So for the e-bikes, we did meet last year about this. And,
Yeah.
you know, the existing ordinance is there. It's just enforcement and education. So,
Right.
we do have that. For the open space, so thank you for coming out in support of it. I'm going to speak a little bit more about it when we get to the actual vote, but I appreciate all your efforts that you guys have been doing, and I really appreciate you coming out tonight and speaking in favor of it. There's one other thing I wanted to look at. Oh, the beach volleyball court. It's funny, I wasn't planning on saying anything about beach volleyball tonight, but I was at a playground out of the country this past week, and there was a beach volleyball court. It was being used and whatnot, but then my daughters went over and they used it as a sandbox. It was great. You know, they were, you know, I don't know if, you know, maybe my kids are the exception. I don't want to be that naive, but everyone was being respectful that it was not just a sandbox. It's, you know, it is a volleyball court, but they were using it for something. So, you know, maybe beach volleyball is not exactly a huge demand, but as a parent in town with 2 small kids that would love a giant sandbox, I think it's a great idea. It's a multiple use. And, you know, I think if we're in favor of one type of recreation, we should be in favor of another type of recreation. So.
And on that note, I just want to add that, yes, there were people here advocating for volleyball court a few months ago.
Oh, I was gonna say, didn't we have,
Yes.
former
Yeah,
Councilman
Michael,
Michael
yeah,
Elms'
his daughter,
She
yep.
did a whole presentation on,
She did.
And she
On
came
beach
with a
volleyball.
bunch of people
Parks.
that advocate for that.
Right.
yes.
Councilman Russo, anything you want to comment on?
Judy, thanks for coming out tonight, and obviously, you know, kind of keeping us abreast of what's going on with the electric leaf blowers and, you know, playing an active role in the town. And yeah, Ed, also, thank you for coming out tonight. We spoke on the phone a couple times. And Bill, always good to see you. That's all I got.
Very good. Anything else? Any other comments? I'll just make a comment that I was down at Elijah Wood today, and I did notice the porta-johns, but I also noticed the big dumpster that was there because of the ongoing construction. So I know that a lot of people that utilize that park are looking forward to newer bathroom facilities to use. So thank you to the administration for getting that moving forward. Very good. Okay, let's move to the report of the mayor and town officials.
I'm just going to do a presentation of just some comments, then I'll go over my report. Because there's a number of things I could talk about, from volleyball to pickleball to a piece of property that would probably, that the state probably had valued 3 times as much for that property on Ridgedale than we got it for. So we got that at a very, very, very good price. And actually, I give a shout out to Senator Bucco, because he facilitated that and gave us the heads up that the state was selling that. So it is something that we do need for our equipment, but I never thought about as for pickleball. So I just leaned over to the business administrator and say, well, now we have 4 spots or 3 spots, we could look at putting pickleball in the future. Earlier than later, it's not going to be that far down the road. All right, so let me just get through this, and then we'll have a conversation about a couple of other things. So it's that time of the year where our business administrator is going to present and introduce the budget for the upcoming year. I do make a few comments, wrote a few things down, so I'm just going to read it into the record, so you kind of know where we're at, where our thinking is at, where we've been for the last year, and how we perceive the town doing, which is usually something that we do every year. whether it's the beginning of the year or during the budget crisis. It's not a crisis yet, but the way the country's going, who knows what's going to be. And Judy, you're absolutely 100% right. The more federal cuts that come, and we've already seen a grant taken away. I spent the morning in Spring Hills Nursing Home, and they have 106 beds, and every one of those is filled. And the majority of those beds are paid through Medicaid. So, you know, that's a real concern as we go through these different challenges that we face every day. So let me just start with, tonight I'm pleased to present this year's proposed budget, an operating budget of $51.7 million. Author Robert Collier once said, "Success in the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out." Morristown's success reflects on the stability our administration has led for the last 16 years. I am grateful to have served our unique and beautiful town thus far and look forward to another successful year. This budget reflects our collective value in quality of services, quality infrastructure, and quality of life for our families. This year, we will continue to invest in the services for our youth and seniors, public safety for our residents and visitors, and quality community programs and facilities. We are able to make these investments because our success has brought resources to the town when others have struggled for that momentum. As a direct result of the redevelopment, we have an increase of $3.5 million in direct revenue to our coffers this year. That saves an average taxpayer over $500 annually. This year, additional projects continue to add to the fabric of our community. For example, the much-anticipated grand opening of Sanofi's U.S. flagship will happen next month. Their space is an amazing welcome to thousands of employees who have begun to call Morristown home. We are looking forward to the addition of see if I got this right, Tate, okay, Tate Bakery and Cafe. And it's not just some little small bakery. You can actually Google Tate and see this is a very, very beautiful place that's going to really enhance that breakfast and lunch experience and bakery experience down at Sanofi's headquarters. And a multicultural food hall that will be open in the lobby of their building as welcome members of the public later this summer. Sanofi could have chosen anywhere in the state, but they chose Morristown because our community offers a warmth and sense of place like no other. We are thrilled to have them here. In addition to the economic driver and walking wallets that all of the commercial development brings, residential development has helped to support the creation of affordable housing. Since 2010, we have created 197 affordable units, an additional 28, with totaling 225 that have been approved for construction. We remain committed to doing our part to make sure all sectors of our community have quality housing to come home to. And for the first time, we will also add an extended stay residential project to our town. This project will serve the business community and local residents alike. In the building department last year was the busiest year yet. They collected over $2.5 million in permit fees. That activity reflects the record levels of investment we have seen in our town, and I am encouraged as that activity continues. Be mindful, though, that it is an unknown how the current economic trends will impact our long-term outlook for construction. However, our active development partners have expressed a sustained commitment to our town and to the pipeline of projects underway. To support this activity last year, the building division began implementing online plan review, consistent with statewide initiatives. That will help to make the process more efficient and economical. The building division has done a yeoman's job keeping up with all the activities. And I want to thank Brian Mulligan and our construction official, and his department head, Al Chifa, for what they do every day to support the growth of our town. Private investment in town is possible because of the public investment we have made in our facilities and infrastructure. Last year, our engineering division complemented a number of capital projects. Most notably, we built a brand-new walking trail at Bud Street Playground that provides a scenic loop around the park past the new planting complemented by the Shade Tree Commission. We have an Arbor Day celebration there this Saturday, so if you haven't had the pleasure of seeing the new improvements, this weekend is a great time to come out and check it out. We have also completed construction of bathrooms at Granby Park, which are a welcome addition to the very active space. Other park facilities improvements underway include Burnham Park restroom upgrades and Ledgerwood restroom renovations. That will also be completed this spring. I'm especially excited about the sand volleyball court that will be added to the Lidgerwood Park this spring. Now, I say that when this young woman came and presented this to us at the council, it was a former councilman's daughter who's a volleyball player. And it is a very, very active and a very, very important sport. It's popular in high school, it's popular in the collegiate level, and it's popular outside of college. I think it's going to be a great asset to our park, and I hear the different problems, but I think if it's run right by our recreation department, which has done a great job, if you see the improvements that they've made, and I'll get to that during this speech, that they've done an excellent job, and I think they'll do a great job with the volleyball. And if you've ever over at Bud Street Park, you'll see a group of people set up a net, and you'll see them play volleyball on that park. I think you were with me that time when a group of people pulled up, got out of their car, walked over to the middle of the field, set up a volleyball, and played volleyball. There must have been 12 of them or 15 of them. It was fantastic to see. So I think it's going to be a great addition to Lidgerwood Park. The specific project, like I said, was the high school student of Michael Elms, our former councilman, his daughter, made the plea to us and made the case about this growing sport. I want to thank her for bringing the idea to us and look forward to a ribbon cutting in a few months. Less visible, but just as important, the town is working on several drainage improvement projects townwide. Those who live on Western Avenue well know this has been an issue for a long time. And we are grateful to have received a grant for over $400,000 to finally complete these stormwater improvements. Construction will start later this spring, followed finally by a full milling and resurfacing of the road this summer. Other paving projects that will be done will include Franklin, Pine Street, and a total of approximately 5 miles of roads. I want to thank our town engineer, sitting in the back, Anthony DeVizio, for all his hard work and that of his division in keeping our roads and facilities in great shape. Thank you, Anthony. Capital improvements have been a priority for our administration, and many of these projects would not be possible but for the grant funding we have been able to earn every year. And I bring this part up because one of the things Scott talked about was the matching. Sometimes you get matching funds when you have an open space grant. Well, we've, in the last decade, have received over $10 million in grants. So if this gets us another $10 million on top of that, it's a home run, and I appreciate the hard work of Councilman Pilipchak, Councilman Umbriak, and the council for bringing this to our attention at the administration and pushing very hard, along with Scott and a few others in this neighborhood and a few people in town, to make sure that this is a reality. And hopefully, when you get people like Lyndon Carrington going door to door, lobbying for this, hopefully this will pass, and we'll have our first open space. And just for the record, 1 penny is $475,000. So it's substantial over time to dedicate money to our parks and to areas where we can get open space. Example would have been like the garage on Ridgedale that we purchased for $800-something thousand. So we're looking forward to that. So again, $10 million over the last 10 years. And to be honest, while, okay, I got lost for a second, so bear with me. All right. We support infrastructure projects to public safety, parks, and for more, and that all comes with the open space. Leveraging assets through acquiring grant resources helps to multiply our local dollars so we can do more with less. In addition to consistency in leadership, we have consistency in quality management and financial practices. Our fund balance remains healthy, and our credit rating of AA+ reflects how our team's solid leadership foundation is viewed positively by the credit markets. Keeping the cost debt low, in fact, Morristown has one of the lowest property tax rates in the county. We have a healthy tax collection rate and multiple years of clean audits. Our financial house is in order. And I want to thank our CFO, Frank Mason, for all that he does, and want to give him a big shout out today because today is Frank's birthday. So happy birthday, Frank. You want to sing him happy birthday? Or?
Happy birthday.
I was going to sing happy birthday to you. It might be a little weird, right?
Yeah, that'd be weird. Yeah, we'll save it.
Yeah, he can go home and tell his wife, yeah, the mayor sang me happy birthday. It must be said, however, like other municipalities in our state, we will face challenges. economic pressure on the price of goods, the cost of health care and insurance, and employee compensation needs have put a strain on our finances. And I'll be honest, while development has been a huge success and positively impact our bottom line, simultaneously decline of other revenue sources like state aid has made it challenging to keep everything in balance, not to mention continuing drain on our resources we experience as at a county seat. We lose out on millions of tax dollars from the numerous nonprofits, county and state functions that we host while we support regional services with the burden that disproportionately falls on our taxpayers. Now, I'm not going to harp on this, and I've talked to some council members, I've talked to people in the administration, I've talked to our attorneys. Morristown's the county seat, which houses the nonprofits, houses the county, state, so we do lose millions of dollars in taxable properties, and nonprofits don't pay taxes. So I'm going to tell this quick story. The other day I was shopping local and buying a pair of sneakers in Fleet Feet, right? Great store. If you want to buy sneakers, they got great sneakers. And they put your feet on these little machines, and you walk and they measure your foot and you get the right sneaker, and boy, what a difference. But a guy walks in and I could see he was struggling a bit. So I asked him, I said, where are you from? He told me he was from Roxbury. I said, are you homeless? He goes, yeah. He goes, do they give sneakers here for homeless people? Because some people donate their sneakers. When they're done, they're in pretty good shape. People change their sneakers a lot more than I change my sneakers. I guess you're supposed to change them every 6 months or a year or something. Well, they came out of the back with a size 12, which was his foot, and they were so kind to him. He had a brand new pair of, they were Brooks. I mean, these were really, really nice sneakers. And I'm looking at them going, wow, I'm buying Brooks. I'm size 11. Do you have anything in the back? So, but the point I'm trying to make is, so I asked him, when did you get here? He said, I just got here. I said, why Morristown? He said, well, they just dropped me off here. They just dropped you off here. I said, because Roxbury has no services for anybody. So as our county grows, and Morristown grows, and so does the county. If you look outside the county, whether you're going up Route 10, you see 1,000 apartments being built. Whether you go down, you go up to Mendham, you see investment. You go to Lone Valley, you see investment. You go all over the county, you see investment. You see new housing. It's growing. Morris County is a very, very desirable county to live in. My charge is going to be to now start talking to the commissioners. Hey, municipalities all need to pay their part. All municipalities should have some level of service for people who are in need. And let me be clear. Every day, there's some, and what you just talked about, sewer and water infrastructure in that bill, I mean, it's mind-blowing. When you think about what you just said to the council, I don't know if people really understand what the ramification of that is when you talk about almost, 852, was it billion or million? $1 billion. I mean, it's crazy. I said, but that's the reality we're living in right now. And things are going to get tighter. Things are tight now. And just today, with 106 beds, and the majority of Medicaid, Medicaid's an area they're looking to cut. So it's important that the message from us, not that we give us your poor, give us your tired, give us, that's what we are. That's who we are as Morristown. We are the county seat, and we're proud of it. But there has to be a shared responsibility, in my opinion, countywide, that municipalities should invest in their communities. With some not taking the same level of service, obviously, that, our police department, we'll talk about it briefly, has a division just to deal with mental health. We know that a police department from another town will come to Morristown and drop somebody off at the hospital. And I'm sure the chief will back me up on this. And that person will go in the hospital because they have a mental need. They will leave. They're not going to stand there and wait to see if he gets help or bring him back to the town they came from. They dropped him off at the #1 hospital in the state. Now the police are left to deal with that person doesn't want any help. He's out on the street. and then they're dealing with it. So this is an ongoing thing that our police department and our public deals with on a regular basis. Now, I don't talk about it a lot publicly, but this will somehow, you'll put it in, somebody will read it. The commissioner, I'll get a phone call from a commissioner. Are you taking shots at us, Mayor? I'm not taking shots at you. I'm just saying that as communities grow, there's a responsibility in government to take care of people. Isn't that what we do? People in need. Not people who are trying to game the system, but people who really do need help. And that every government, large or small, should have some type of service for the citizens they represent. And that would help us here too. And that's all I'm saying. So I'm get off that soapbox now. Sorry, I went way off script. Way off script. Oh my goodness. But I do know that we all struggle with uncertainty of economic times. So while this year's proposal tax increase is unavoidable, it is a modest one. And my administration will continue to evaluate ways to conduct government business differently to reduce costs while minimizing impacts on the quality of life and the services that we enjoy and deserve. I don't want to sugarcoat it, though. I don't know what the future may bring, and inflationary changes are likely to persist. My team will continue to work hard every day to look ahead and prepare and pivot where needed. My commitment to you is to continue being the best steward of our government and your money. Now, I may be biased, but I know we have the best police agency in Morris County. Morristown is a safe, crime is low, and officers are well-trained, community-oriented, and provide a stellar service. Under Chief Richardson's leadership, the Bureau has expanded their community engagement unit to host several events throughout the year, including the very popular Coffee with a Cop. This year, we have expanded the homeless outreach through a partnership with the State Office of Homeless Prevention, which has provided civilian resources to accompany our officers in addressing the needs of the unhoused here in our town. We are working together to bolster and shorten pathways to shelter and interventions to address barriers like addiction and mental illness. Another state partnership is the ARRIVE program, which provides professional clinicians to support residents in mental health crisis. This has been a tremendous resource and has reduced the incidence in mental illness, resulting in criminal detention. We are grateful to the state for their generous assistance in both initiatives. Our community is a safe community to live and to raise a family. And that is a testament to our public safety department. I want that Morristown's finest and bravest for their dedication to our town. Thank you to our fire chief, Chief Flanagan, and thank you to Michael Cochran, our public safety director, for your hard work. Michael here tonight? No, he didn't get to, he's on vacation? You can send him the mayor gave him an accolade. Hey, listen, now on to fun stuff. Our recreation program has been booming. For the second year in a row, participation has grown 20% over last year. And we are offering a variety of great programs for our kids and grown-ups of all ages. For example, did you know we now offer a program in forensic science? I keep asking, can I sign up? But they keep telling me I have to be under 18. Samantha Gringlinger, our recreation superintendent, has done a great job over the last 2 years serving the kids of our community. In addition to recreation programs, our swim programs have expanded too. We now offer indoor and outdoor swim lessons thanks to the partnership with Morristown High School. Now, anyone can learn to swim at an affordable price. Given the great response, we hope to expand the program to add even more sessions this year. Membership at the Burnham Pool continues to grow as families enjoy the tranquility of our full-service swim complex. And don't forget the family events hosted throughout the year, like this past Easter egg hunt. Anybody here at the Easter egg hunt? Well, let me tell you something. I've never seen so many kids. I've been doing it for a lot of years, right? Am I lying when I said there were a lot of kids there, Chris?
There were
Sheba?
a lot of kids.
I mean, the line to see the Easter Bunny and his cousin San Diego. Does anybody know who San Diego is? Because I haven't figured that one out. Does anybody know who San Diego is? So San Diego is the cousin of the rabbit. It's another rabbit from San Diego. Why they call him the cousin, I have no idea. But there were two rabbits, two Easter Bunny rabbits, and the kids were lined up from the handball wall, you know the handball wall, all the way to almost the fence on Ledgerwood. And I'm not talking one kid. I'm talking 4, 5, 3. Oh, it just didn't stop. We gave out 250 chocolate bunny rabbits, little ones, right? We ran out. And the line was still going. I felt bad. I was like, Chris was trying to give them eggs. Like,
I was getting attacked.
he was getting attacked, giving them the eggs had little candies in them. But I got to tell you something, and that is in concert to what I was just talking about, how our community and outside our community has grown. Because it's not just Morristown kids that were there. They came from all over. Because I would ask people, where you live? Township, Harding, Tucasana. You know, I mean, really, that's pretty good testament to what our community is all about. And it really was, it was great. It was so many kids. And it really puts a smile on your face. So I want to thank Toshiba and Chris for both coming there, and Chris helping me out, give out all those bunny rabbits. And they were taking pictures with him. I was like, what is this? You're taking pictures. They don't want to take a picture with me. I want to take a picture with them. And then people come up to me and go, is that my son?
Yeah, that happens a lot.
It happens all the time. People go, is that your father? So I was like, boy, I'm doomed. I'm just doomed. So listen, you got to have some levity, right, when you're dealing with this stuff. So, like I said, while we're talking about the youngs, let's not forget about the young at heart. Our senior service coordinator, Kathy Vonk, has infused new energy in our programs and has done a stellar job since joining us last year, building an even more robust program for seasoned residents. We offer fun physical programs like chair yoga, line dancing, flex, and stretch, but we also offer programs in health, fire safety, financial planning, and more. This year, we're looking forward to offering additional programs and trying like new things like ballroom dancing and ceramics, both of which help our seniors maintain their physical and mental dexterity. We hope that the CDBG grant application on tonight's agenda will help us expand our senior program even more, because our seniors are a vital part of our society. There was an essay recently in the New York Times that talked about the value of stability. It offered commentary about the impact of layoffs and turmoil in the business environment, and pointed out that while evolution and growth are natural in any organization, and shakeups can be rewarded with short-term profits in the business world, in the long-term upheaval only results in uncertainty and turmoil. Now, people often talk about disruption because novelty feels new and exciting, and it is. Sometimes change is needed. But think about your own life. For most of us, we find comfort and trust in the familiar. Now, why do I bring this up? Because for Morristown, we have been successful because of the stability that our leadership team has enjoyed over these years. And the foundation of stability has allowed Morristown to flourish. Our administration and governing body have worked harmoniously to achieve prosperity in our town and residents that have resulted in the increases in property values and improvements in the quality of life that many of us could not have envisioned 20 years ago. That's a testament to our endurance and our commitment. And I want to thank our team for each and every day that we have worked together for the good of Morristown. To illustrate another way, think about the way that a band constructs a piece of music. The steadiness of the bass line creates the foundation upon which every other section builds its melody. The flute and the violin would not have the foundation over which build beautiful melodies if not for the steady reference of the bass line to always come back to. For our municipal government, our baseline is made up of a leadership team that has worked together seamlessly for several years to build the trust of our residents, visitors, and development community. Credit rating agencies, investors, and business owners, everyone that serves the economy of our town, they know we have a strong team and they will get things done. A team that is capable, productive, and steady. That Morristown is a safe place to build a home, a business, and roots. That is why the town is worth of being named Fortune Magazine's 9th best places of being named Fortune Magazine's 9th best places to raise a family in the country. That's why we have investors and business battling to find a place here. That is why we have one of the hottest real estate markets in the state. It's why our homeowners have seen growth in the values of their nest eggs. and I, for one, wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I look forward to another year of working with our team to serve our community and to continue making our success to be enjoyed by everyone, because every family in Morristown deserves it. In closing, there is an African proverb that says, "A boat doesn't go forward, each one is rowing their own way." Morristown is moving forward because we are working together for the good of everyone. Let's keep rowing forward together. God bless you, and God bless this great town of Morristown. It was a little bit longer than I thought. Sorry. Really quick, Council President, I'm just going to run through this. Talked about the Easter egg hunt, was fabulous. Recreation did a great job. And I want to thank DPW for their work out there too. Did a great job. Saturday, April 26th, pay attention to the website, Facebook, Instagram. We'll try to post it. 8 a.m. Whippany River Coalition, which I am on. We're doing a riverbank cleanup that starts in Hanover Township. It's our green team. Whippany River Shed Action Committee participants must report to Hanover Emergency Management Command Post trailer located in the parking lot of Eden Woods Realty at 47 Parsippany Road. And what that is a strike force team that I'm part of with a bunch of mayors, most of them Republican mayors, that are now trying to de-snag these giant trees that are stuck in our Whippany River that cause a lot of our flooding. And we've had great success, and we got some great funding from our Congresswoman, and this is totally bipartisan, Republicans and Democrats working together for the environment and to better our river. And we're just hoping we don't get rained out again. We got rained out the last week. I think it was the 9th, right? The 9th. It rained really hard one Saturday. The Easter egg hunt got canceled. So that was the same day as that. So hopefully it'll kick off. Noon to 9, Speedwell Lake cleanup. Morristown Clean Communities in partnership with Cutler Park Neighborhood. That's the Speedwell Lake cleanup. That's 9 a.m. to noon. And 10 a.m. Arbor Day celebration, which you heard our Shade Tree Commission Chairwoman speak about this evening at Bud Street Park. If you haven't been over to Bud Street Park, it's worth taking a ride over. It is a great park. They love their park at Bud Street. It's really coming along beautifully. It really is. It's worth taking a ride over there and seeing it. Wednesday, April 30th, 4 p.m., Creature Comfort Pets National Therapy Day is at St. Peter's Church. Councilman Russo will be attending and reading in my absence. I will be leaving town for a few days, April 30th, and be back early May. Friday, May 2nd, 5:30 Morristown Area Little League, opening night at Morris Plains Community Center. Council President Umbriac will be attending. And Sunday, May 4th, 2:30 p.m., Children on the Green, 30th anniversary event, also Council President Umbriac attending and reading the proclamation. You're all welcome to come to go to all the events. And I can't thank our council members for standing and showing up and doing their part as elected officials to join it, to work together on everything. So I appreciate you guys standing in and doing that. On Wednesday, the 14th, there's a mayor's Q&A with seniors, third floor. If you're a senior, come. If you're not a senior, don't come. They are a tough bunch. They do ask some tough questions. They are a group that I meet with quarterly, and it's Wednesday the 14th, 1 to 3. It's if you want to come, just come, but it's for seniors. The 17th, which is a Saturday, 9 a.m. to noon, townwide cleanup. Starts at Town Hall. Gloves, garbage bags, and recycling bags will be provided. All are welcome. Pre-registered townofmorristown.org/cleanup. That's Saturday the 17th, 9 a.m. to noon. It's a spring cleanup for the whole town. So send it out on your Facebook stuff. Put it out, put your posts out. You know, let's have a good turnout. Send it to all your constituents. You know, let's clean up town. Because it's the spring, you know, you got to clean it up. All right, and this is also important. The 19th, I'll talk briefly about this. I know we have a big presentation to do. Jillian's looking at me like, would you hurry up and please get done this. Monday, the 19th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., New Jersey Motor Vehicle Mobile Unit will be at Town Hall. Now, if you read the paper over the last week, a lot of people have been complaining they can't get appointments for Real ID. That is a reality. It's a real problem. So registration renewal, initial permit, non-driver's ID, duplicating replacement, it's the same thing as DMV, but it's a mobile unit. It's coming back to Morristown the 19th. You have to register for it. So try to register and get on if you need a Real ID. Now, this is the important note that you need to tell your neighbors if they ask you about the Real ID. You are not required to get a Real ID in New Jersey. However, if you plan on flying domestically and do not have a passport, you will need a Real ID. Otherwise, standard New Jersey driver's license is still valid for driving and other state identification. If there is no mobile unit appointments available, you will need to schedule an appointment at the Motor Vehicle Center at via nj.gov/MVC. Now, when you get your license renewed, your regular license renewed, that's when you can go get it. Get an appointment to go get it. But if you're not flying domestically or international, you don't need a Real ID. And if you have a passport, that works. So people are panicking thinking that the law is May is coming, May 1st, and you have to have a Real ID. It's something you really should put in there so people stop panicking. If you're not flying, and this happened at the senior today, that was one of the questions I got asked, was the Real ID. I said, and this woman was probably in her 90s. I go, are you flying next month? She goes, no. I said, then you don't need one. Oh, I thought everybody had to get one. I said, well, you do eventually, but it's not like an emergency. So that has to be put out there, and that's why I said it tonight. Monday, the 26th, Town Hall will be closed, and observance of Memorial Day, 10 a.m. Memorial Day Parade starts at Township Municipal Building, and 11 a.m. Memorial Day services at the Green. I could talk about 10,000 other things that are going on. I know pickleball's a big thing. We are working diligently trying to find the right space out of 3. Hopefully, I don't know if we'll have that announcement tonight. I don't think so, right? No. Jillian's like, no. We'll have the money, but we don't have the space yet. But there are 3 spaces I've identified, and I think 2 of them are really good. One of them we might need permission from the state, and the other is pretty much all open. There's nothing around it. So that will happen. Chris and I made that when we walked Erskine and Maxwell. I said a year. I think that was July. So it's not July yet. I said a year. And we keep to our word. And listen, pickleball is great. I don't play it, but I heard it. I stood in their yard and heard it. Oh, man, to listen to that for hours on a Saturday afternoon, yes. Okay, and yes, excuse my language, sucks that it's that loud. But when it's that close to residents' homes and backyards, it's quality of life. And it seems to be the bane of existence in a lot of places with the pickleball. But if we find the right spot, in which we will, you have my word, otherwise Chris will have to explain why, we will get that fixed. So you can have a quality spring, summer, and fall. Nobody playing, they playing pickleball in the winter? Yeah. Oh, they do? Oh, and since they brought it up, I think you brought it up in the back, how do they play into pickleball on a tennis court if it's not striped?
It is striped. The last one is still striped because that's how we played it for 2 or 3 years before the pickleball courts were built.
But if it's not striped, you can't play on a tennis court, right?
It's hard.
Sure.
So we put a volleyball net in.
We have to fix that. So, all right, well, thank you very much for being patient and listening to me ramble on. And I'm glad that our police are doing something with the leaf blowers. We had somebody on Wetmore that did the same thing, but they saw that I introduced myself and said, "This is an ordinance." And they didn't know. but now they know. So spend a little dollars and start with one or two and work your way into it. You know, and there's nothing to blow anymore now. Once you cut the grass once, there's nothing more to blow. You know? But, all right, so thank you for, did I miss anybody? Jen, partnerships here, thank you. I didn't want to feel like I left you out. Everybody say hi, Jen, put her on the spot. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, well, now you guys get to hear me ramble on for a little while.
All right.
The mayor's given you an overview of what is the spirit of the budget. Now I'll get into the nitty-gritty of it. I do have a handful of slides. I will try to get through it diligently, but I do want to give you a little more information as to how we got to the proposed budget that's before you for consideration tonight. So our total net assessed value for this year is $4.7 billion. 1 cent in the municipal tax rate is $475,000. We are, again, under the 2% property tax levy cap. Our tax collection rate is healthy at 98.1%, and the proposed municipal tax rate increase is 1.9 pennies. So the tax base. You may recall last year was the first year the reval was effective. And then this year we saw a little bit of a decline in property values, which is to be expected after a reval year. You're going to have some tax appeals in response to the reval, and we did have a bit of a decline in the commercial property value, but you know, overall the decline was fairly nominal. The valuation by property class didn't really change too much. We're still predominantly residential at 48%, apartments at 15%, commercial at 34%. The property tax breakdown, once again, the school district is a vast majority of the property taxes in Morristown. We expect there to be, and again, a shift in the total taxes towards the school district. We were a little bit under 50% last year. This year, we estimate once the school district introduces their budget that they're going to be back over 50%. And the municipal portion will be down to under 33% this year. That's really the result of the shifting of taxes, again, as a result of the second half of the reval. And I'm sure the school district will explain that during their budget presentation. The equalization rate, reval last year, again, our equalization rate was above 100% as a result of the reval. This year it declined a bit to 96.15%, but that means that property values are still extremely healthy and that they're growing even since the reval from last year. When you look at our tax rate, and what we're proposing, you really should look at it in the context of what you're seeing in the market. And we consistently beat inflation every single year. Inflation, especially since COVID, has been substantially higher than what you would ordinarily expect to be in the 2.5% range. And we're still consistently below inflation every single year. To illustrate it even further, since 2010, inflation, the cumulative inflation has been over 40%, whereas our tax rate increase has been cumulatively at 12%. So we're substantially under inflation, even when you consider all of the cost pressures that we've had to face, even in light of COVID and all the other things we've seen in the market. So we're still doing pretty well. I also want to point out that the average annual tax increase is still under 1% since 2010. As far as the budget numbers in detail are concerned, the total proposed budget is $51.7 million. The operating budget is $48.7. The aids to the library is $1.7. Grants is a little over $1 million. We have a sewer budget of $7.6 for a total financial budget between the operating and the sewer at $59.3 million. Where does the money come from? This pie chart doesn't really change that much year to year. Our municipal tax levy is just over 50% of our total revenue sources. The next source is the use of surplus, followed by special items of appropriation, the sewer utility surplus, which subsidizes our operating budget, state aid, and other local revenue sources. The tax levy as a percent of our total operating budget has remained fairly steady. It's actually a little bit down this year. So we're trying to rely on other revenue sources as much as reasonably possible. Our top 5 revenue source increases, the first one is M Station West, which is a Sanofi building that came online this year. That's a significant revenue increase for us, which couldn't have come at a better time, so thank you, Nathan's employer. In addition to that, UCC fees are up. As the mayor mentioned during his comments, UCC revenues have been very, very healthy the last couple of years. Receipt for delinquent taxes is also up, as are interest on investments. That's probably one of the only bright spots in the local sort of economic picture is that interest rates have been a little bit better than they've been historically. And then the pilot from Max on Mars is also up this year. Unfortunately, we have also experienced some revenue decreases as well. State aid in particular, which I'll talk about on another slide. The Atlantic Health settlement was really is a direct result of a shifting as a result of the revaluation. They are paying substantially more in ad valorem taxes, which means that the direct settlement amount was declined in proportion. And then there's some other nominal reductions in fees from cable franchise fees and this Fire Safety Act. So if you look at the average municipal tax bill, our average assessment this year, average residential assessment this year is just over $600,000. So we expect the average increase in municipal tax bill to be $119 a year, or about a little under $10 a month. So I talked about state aid. I get on my soapbox about this every year, so I'm not going to go too far into this, but the important thing to understand is if the state stopped siphoning money from the local municipalities and actually gave us our money, it would save the average homeowner $360 a year. We wouldn't have to look at the tax rate increases that we're looking at, but we are. And I also want to point out, if you look at the green line at the bottom, the state had actually increased our state aid the last 2 years. And then because they ran out of COVID money, they cut the increases that they were giving to municipalities in the 2025 budget year. So we're back to a flat dollar amount that we've seen since 2009. I really, really, really wish the state would start giving us our money back. All right, end of rant. Fund balance trend. Our fund balance has been pretty steady, and we're looking at a fund balance just slightly under our target, but I'm optimistic that we'll meet our fund balance target this year, given the new revenues we're expecting to come online that we're not able to bank in our budget this year. As far as appropriations are concerned, this pie chart also doesn't look too different than it usually looks, but I will point out one important thing. Public safety is always the largest wedge, as is public works. But this year, insurance has seen a significant increase in costs, and our insurance costs, which is health insurance, workers' comp, and liability insurance, is almost as high as public safety costs this year. And that's a huge driver in the increase in our expenses. And I'll get into that in a little bit in a couple of the slides. So as far as departmental operations, it totals $26.4 million, which is up 4.2%. That's made up of salaries and wages and other expenses. The salaries and wages are up 2.6%, which is about what you would expect salaries and wages to go up. That's a direct result of collective bargaining agreements that are in place for police, fire, and civilians. And then our other expenses are actually up significantly more at 9%. That's driven by a couple of things. Primarily, it's sanitation costs and software and hardware expenses, a lot of which is in the police department for body-worn cameras and things which have a multi-year renewal cycle that happens to be hitting this year. So getting into our largest increases, our medical insurance is astronomical this year. And I have an entire slide to talk about that, so I'll get into that in a little bit. Our liability insurance is also up significantly, almost $300,000. That is driven primarily by the insurance market. You may have experienced in your own insurance at home. Insurance costs are going up because of all of the various natural disasters, the flooding, storms, and other things that have happened in the last few years. So everybody's insurance is going up. That's also happening in the public sector market, and municipal government's insurance is significantly increased over what we typically would see in a year. Sanitation costs are up, which is simply driven by the cost of tipping fees, as well as our contractual increases in the cost of hauling. Police and fire pension is up. That's just directly related to salary increases. And the police other operating expenses is up, as I mentioned, related to their software and hardware costs. So that's a total of $2.4 million, which is like 5% of the budget on these 5 line items. We do have some decreases, although they're nominal. Our interest on bonds and on notes is down this year. The reserve for tax appeals is down because we are sort of past that first bubble with the reval. So we expect our tax appeals to be pretty modest this year. I will knock on wood on that. The PERS pension is down, even though the fire is up. And our planning expenses is down a little bit because we are taking advantage of some attrition in that area. Pension costs, $4.7 million this year. And as I mentioned, the PFRS is up over $100,000. That's driven both by salary costs going up, as well as every year the percentage that we are obligated to contribute as the employer for both PERS and PFRS, which is the fire pension, is adjusted up every single year, so that's always going to increase. Healthcare. Now, our healthcare appropriation of about $9 million, and that's a net. That's made up of both our overall health insurance costs, but it's offset by the premium contributions from the employees, as well as the contribution we get from the sewer fund. We do go out every year for proposals for excess coverage, for high-cost claimant coverage. We do that every year, and we also look for any kind of savings that can be out there. You have on your agenda tonight to renew our health insurance funds membership, which is a Medicare Advantage program. That is the most cost-effective way for us to provide Medicare Advantage to our retirees. But we are still expecting a 22.8% increase in healthcare costs next year. Why is that? That's because we had an atrocious year last year, and we're expecting that to continue. So in 2024, based on actuarial estimates, we budgeted for a total net budget line of $7.3 million. But by the end of the year, our costs were actually almost $8.5 million, which is a 15.8% increase over what we expected from budget. And as a result, and most of those expenses they're expected to continue, which is why we're expecting a $9 million number for this year, which is a 22.8% increase over what we anticipated for 2024. But it's only 6% over actual, which makes me feel a little bit better, but not really. That's driven by a couple of things. Our medical claims were up 20% over the prior period, driven almost exclusively by high-cost claimants. Our top 10 health insurance members, which is either an employee or a dependent, was 35% of our total medical claim costs. And those high-cost claimants are things like cancer, a complicated surgery like a back or a brain surgery. Addiction treatment is another one that drives high costs. So, rehab, any kind of residential medical mental health need is typically also very high cost. And then the second is prescription drug costs, which increased almost 35% over last year. And that's $1.9 million in net costs. GLP-1s, which is your Ozempics, your Mounjaros, Wegovy, Trulicity, Victoza, all the things you see on TV commercials, That's 26% of our total RX spend. And then your specialty drug utilization nearly doubled. Specialty drugs is like your injectables. So the other things you see on television, and that was 47% of our total RX spend. So the GLP-1s and specialty drugs is almost 75% of the total spend in RX. So this is not your generics. This is not your, your typical, like most of what people do every day, but it's those handful of things that are really driving up expenses in healthcare. That's not unique to us. Every health plan is seeing that. The state health benefits plan is seeing that, which is why they're seeing significant double-digit increases. They're probably going to see over 20% increase this year in their plan premium costs. And it's not just public sector, it's private sector, it's everyone that's doing it. That's seeing these costs. We are actively working with our brokers, with our healthcare community, to figure out and our collective bargaining groups to figure out ways to mitigate these expenses and mitigate these increases going forward, as are anyone who's an employer who's providing healthcare. But this is really a significant driver in our budget increase for this year is our healthcare insurance. We are going to look for any and all ways that we can help to mitigate these costs. But it will be with the partnership with our collective bargaining agreements and with our collective bargaining groups to try to work to reduce costs for everyone, not just the employees, but for everyone, so that the taxpayers benefit as well. All right, that was depressing. All right. On the upswing, debt service, as the mayor mentioned, we have a AA plus stable outlook from Standard & Poor's, which is excellent. Our principal and debt payment, our scheduled principal payment of $2.5 million this year. Our net debt outstanding as of the end of last year was $23.5 million. And our total net debt continues to decline since 2010. And our equalization, our debt to equalized value is about 0.5%, which is excellent. There are a lot of towns that are kind of like really close to the statutory minimum. We are nowhere near. The sewer utility, again, we are still pay-as-you-go. We are 13th year without any new sewer utility debt. We're going to continue to be pay-as-you-go on the sewer utility, and we're very proud of keeping that utility afloat, if you will, no pun intended. And then lastly, capital. We have $3.1 million in capital that's planned, which you have detail of in your binders. We are planning on investing about $900,000 in roads, $200,000 in public works vehicles, which is just simply replacing as things are way past their useful life, $50,000 in fire equipment, $1.5 million in parks and rec. We're doing a lot of facility improvements in our parks this year. $60,000 at the pool, $85,000 in building improvements, which is really just maintaining this building, and $260,000 in Section 20 professional costs, which is engineering and soft costs to support all of these projects. And that is our budget. So I, of course, welcome all of you to reach out to me if you have any questions. If you'd like to sit down and go into detail, I'm more than happy to do that with you at any time between now and when the budget's scheduled for adoption.
You're doing a very interesting stat that I think everybody should see would be what is your total fringe, taking your health, your benefits, everything else, because I don't think the general public understands and appreciates how you struggle and can't control that fringe. And as municipalities or state, that is extremely high, where most of people work, you're going to see your fringe is between 20 and 25%. What do you think it is here, Frank?
Well, it depends. It's $5 million and your health insurance is $9 million. So you're $14 million, not even $15 million.
Yeah, so you're talking a fringe of.
Salary's only 18, 19.
You're talking a fringe of probably about 43, 45%.
It's more than that.
Calculation, which is a lot of money, and that's for the most part non-manageable. It's a big task. And the other thing I would point out is that I would add one more slide next year when you do this. Every year you do a good job. Maybe, and every year you do bring up the point you have, that sore point. We're going to send you down to Trent.
I would love to do that if only someone would listen.
I would actually show what you have on page 1-5, which is actually what is the total tax bill going to look guys do a very good job. Your budget is just going up slightly,
Mhm.
okay? But there's a little surprise here, the school budget, is that their final fiscal year 25 budget?
I don't think they've introduced. I don't believe it's final. But I'm not responsible for the school budget.
I know
But, yeah,
But that's, because you have a projection anyways, where'd you get that projection?
that's based on our conversations with the school district, but because it's not final, it's not something that I would feel comfortable. And again, because it's outside my responsibility, it's not something that I would personally want to speak
But,
to.
you know, the purpose of that is to make sure people understand, that's not the budget you're talking about. You're
Correct.
talking about the municipal budget and how you're controlling the municipal.
Correct.
Thanks, Jillian.
Yeah, no, excellent job. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Jillian. So if any council members have any questions or concerns, they can certainly reach out to Jillian. And I've sat with her before. She'll answer any questions or concerns that you might have. So take a look at your packets.
So, Council President,
Thank you.
before you go into your final part of the meeting,
Yep.
if I just may give Jillian and my lawyer to my left a little public accolades. So, for those who don't know what Jillian does day in and day out, other than having to deal with me and 200-plus employees, and the functioning of the town 365 days a year, and all the legal stuff that goes on with questions every day to the legal department, is, and I've said this publicly, and I hear it from other business administrators, former business administrators all the time, oh, you have the best business administrator in the state of New Jersey. Let me tell you something. We probably do. I'm pretty easy to get along with, and Jillian is. I am. Why would you laugh like that? I don't even deal with you.
I was thinking of something else funny, sir.
Oh, my God, no, seriously, and Margot, you know what she does, and a big part of the year is Jillian Barrick has to dig into numbers and numbers and numbers and numbers that would make the average person get sick. And then the door closes and you don't see her. And I'll say to my assistant, where's Jillian? Don't go in there. She's got the door closed. She's in the budget. It is a year-long process. It starts really midsummer. It starts all over again. So she gets a little bit of a break. This time she's getting a break because she's getting married. So congratulations for Jillian getting married in a very short period of time. So we're really excited about that. And it just really needs to be publicly said that it is a tough business being a business administrator. And with all the respect that I can give you and that this council should give you, is in the world that you live in, it's sometimes even harder on the fact that you're a woman. Not that makes a difference to me, but it's a tough business you're in. Very tough business. And we are very fortunate to have her still here, because I can tell you that other municipalities would try to steal her on a regular basis. And the fact that she's still here is a testament to our town, her commitment to our community, her commitment to work with all of us. And it just works. We're really, I can't tell you how fortunate we are. And David and I were talking just the other day, and I was going off on something I didn't agree with Jillian on, and I mentioned it to him. He goes, Tim, you have the best business administrator in the state of New Jersey. And I know that. And I'm very grateful. And so is our community. And I don't want that not to be said, because I see what you do every day, every single day, at night, on the weekends, when I'm called, or whatever. But, so, enjoy your wedding. Will you be at the next meeting?
I will leave the next meeting.
Okay, so the meeting after that, you won't, you'll leave the day after the next meeting. So, if you have any questions, please call her. She really puts the time and effort into what you see here every day. And it takes months and months and months and months and months to deal with this, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And like David just said, like a lot of councils don't even get this. They don't even get a binder like this, right? That's right. You know, so we have something very special here, so let's keep her, and the public should know that we have somebody very special here.
All right, well, thank you for that. Let's move on to council liaison reports. Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes, good evening. I don't have a report from the executive, but I do want to say that we have a senior bingo for all three of the senior buildings on Friday from 4 to 6. I want to thank the administration for transportation, donuts. That means a lot to the seniors. They're very, very happy when things happen like that. And I want to bring up that Councilman Foster said maybe we should have a registration booth there in case someone have not registered to vote. I'll try to talk to you about that.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilman Plupchuk.
Sure, the partnership meeting was on April 9th. Board elections are still ongoing, so if you haven't voted and you're eligible voter for the partnership, voting's until Monday at 5 p.m. They had all the candidates actually kind of introduce themselves to the board. It was really nice to see a lot of new faces, and some people that, you know, tried before and got back, and I think we all appreciate that. So that was a good thing. Restaurant Week is ongoing right now. So if you guys haven't tried any of the new restaurants, they also have that, and I'm not going to say it correctly, so I'm going to look it up. It's the Snack Sip Stroll. I believe tonight started the first one or the second one? Tonight was the second one. So there's another one tomorrow night. It's a new program. They're actually focusing on 3 different neighborhoods. So Speedwell, Morris, and South and Pine. But it's a progressive dinner that you can go from one restaurant to another, so you can sample a lot of different ones at one night. Unfortunately, I'm here and not at one of them tonight. So on top of that too, their Spring in Morristown flyer this is a print of what was on NJ.com. I think we have some extra ones, and I'm sure Jen in the back has more if anyone's interested. And there are a few discussions on some new initiatives that they're looking to take on this year. When we get a little bit further into the partnership budget, I'm sure there'll be presentations on it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Councilman Russo.
It's been pretty quiet the last couple of months on the planning board. We do have a meeting this Thursday, but it looks to be a pretty quiet one. So nothing really too exciting to report at the moment.
Thank you. Councilman.
Morris Parking Authority, the Morris Parking Authority met last Wednesday, April 16, and the next meeting will be on May 22nd. On that meeting, there was informed again that there are MPA recruiting for park supervisor positions. Job postings can be found at mpanj.org. One of the highlights of that meeting was the internship program that they have for college students. And they have a young man and a young lady from different colleges. One is from a university, the other one, she's from a college. And they're doing great projects at MPA and making the MPA better. One of the things that the young lady did was the Morristown High School Career Fair. The MPA was part of that. That was on April 10th, 2025. It was a very valuable opportunity to engage with the community and promote awareness about the roles and responsibilities of the parking authority. In another note, solar EV, solar panel roof installations are underway at the Hart and Dalton garages. Electric vehicle charging installations in Dalton, the Hart, and Bank will begin soon. The charges will replace the outdated and supported charges that currently exist. And one of the things that I found out at that meeting is that The old chargers, they were free because there was a pilot program. The new chargers are modern, and there will be a fee. And I say that because there are people calling to the parking authority if that continues to be for free, and electricity is not for free. The charges the outdated will be replaced, and supported charges that currently exist. Chargers fees will apply. Additionally, a notice regarding the EV charging infrastructure has been posted in all existing chargers. It also has been posted on MPA's website, and an email has been sent to existing scan card holders. Dalton Restoration 2025 work is expected to begin soon. And one important news is that Lot 3 will be closed after May 31st. Parking permits will be terminated. Daily parking will be allowed as usual rates until lot closes. We encourage public to continually check the updates on the website. And Lot 3 is the one behind the train station due to the Beyond project. That's it.
Very good, thank you. Okay, let's move to regular business, Margot.
Okay, excuse me, we have 6 ordinances for introduction tonight. The first one is ordinance O-14-2025, calendar year ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a camp bank pursuant to NJSA 48:4-45.14.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number O-14-2025.
Second.
Are there any comments or questions from council? On the introduction of ordinance O-14-2025, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Ordinance 14-2025 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing on May 13th. Ordinance number O-15-2025, ordinance authorizing the purchase of Block 801, Lot 3 in the town of Morristown from the New Jersey Division of Motor Vehicles.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number O-15-2025.
Second.
Any comments or questions from council?
You know, I'll just add one comment. I did clarify with Jillian that we're doing an environmental on the project before we buy it.
Yes, we are doing phase 1.
Property has a long history.
Right.
So we know.
Yep.
Okay, on the introduction of ordinance O-15-2025, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Ordinance 15-2025 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing on May 13th. Ordinance O-16-2025, bond ordinance providing for the acquisition of property in and by the town of Morristown in the county of Morris, New Jersey, appropriating $860,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $817,000 in bonds or notes of the town to finance part of the cost thereof.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number O-16-2025.
Second.
Any comments or questions? On the introduction of ordinance O-16-2025, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Ordinance 16-2025 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing on May 13th. Ordinance number O-17-2025, ordinance appropriating $549,815 from the Sewer Capital Improvement Fund for various sewer improvements in and by the town of Morristown in the county of Morris, New Jersey.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number O-17-2025.
Second.
Any comments or questions? On the introduction of ordinance O-17-2025, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Ordinance 17-2025 has been introduced properly by title, excuse me, and will be considered further after a public hearing on May 13th. Ordinance O-18-2025, bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the town of Morristown and the county of Morris, New Jersey, appropriating $3,123,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,966,000 in bonds or notes of the town to finance part of the cost thereof.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number O-18-2025.
Second?
Any comments or questions? On the introduction of ordinance 18-2025, Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone? Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk?
Yes.
Councilman Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Umbreak?
Yes.
Ordinance O-18-2025 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing on May 13th. Ordinance O-19-2025, ordinance authorizing a public question to be submitted to the voters establishing an open space tax and open space trust fund.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number O-19-2025.
Second?
Any comments or questions from council?
No comments or questions, but I'd like to give the floor to Councilman Polypchuk, who really spearheaded this in collaboration with many of his neighbors, including Scott Wild. Thank you for being here this evening. So I know Councilman Polypchuk brought this to my attention, to the administration's attention. So I'd like for you to have the floor and share, how this came about and your thoughts behind it.
Thank you, Council President. So when I was first elected and I met with Jillian, I think the first thing she asked me is, what do you want to accomplish? And the first thing I said was Open Space Trust Fund. And as Ms. Bayer mentioned, and I think she left already, it's Earth Day. So how fitting are we introducing this ordinance on Earth Day? It's a happy coincidence. I honestly did not realize that until about 5 o'clock today. So what this ordinance does is, does not create a new tax. It does not create any new fees. It doesn't create the trust fund. What this ordinance does is puts the vote to the voters. It makes the decision to the voters. And if the voters decide to implement it in November, the ordinance as written will introduce a 1 cent to, no less than 1 cent and no more than 5 cents per $100 of assessed value tax. So as Ms. Barrett showed on her presentation, the average house is about $630,000 in town. A 1 cent tax would be $63. And in my opinion, that's not nothing, and I appreciate that. But the nice thing about this is that minor investment, like Mr. Wiles said, opens us up to tons of grants and the possibility for another $10 million in grants just by asking our residents to provide $5 a month. One other thing to really note on this is it's not a tax just on the residents. It's a tax on every single property in town, taxable property in town. So the commercial, industrial, they're all paying into it as well. And for Morristown, we're a town of approximately 3 square miles. Open space is not something that comes easily in our town. The way it's written, 100% of this money is dedicated to the trust fund and can be used for acquisition. It could be used for maintenance and, more importantly, stewardship of the land. It allows us really to implement things like the Burnham Park Master Plan and start treating our parks as an asset that they are. We have a lot of residents in town that, especially our apartments and multifamilies, that their parks are their backyard. That's where they meet. That's where they gather. That's where they have events. It's time that we create a mechanism that we can directly invest in them. So I really think that this is a smart, long-term plan, and I hope tonight we have unanimous support for the introduction, and when it comes back in front of us for the adoption, again, unanimous support. I really think that this is the right thing to do, and just to reiterate, this is not the council making a new tax. This is the council giving the voters a right to do it. And several months ago, I was approached by the group, and they were ready to start a petition drive. And all this does is kind of cuts that red tape and makes it easier to get this on the ballot. It saves them from knocking on doors all summer long trying to get signatures, and we all know how hard that is. So, by doing this way, it's the same end result, but it's the better way in using our mechanisms as the council to be able to actually implement this. So, thank you.
Very well said. Thank you.
Okay, on the introduction of ordinance O-19-2025, Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk?
Yes.
Councilman Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Umbreak?
Yes.
Ordinance 19-2025 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing on May 13th. There are two ordinances for public hearing and adoption. Ordinance number O-12-2025, ordinance of the Town of Morristown and the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, establishing compensation for certain officers and employees of the Town of Morristown.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-12-2025.
Second?
At this time, I'll open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance O-12-2025 only. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Comments or questions from council? On the adoption of ordinance O-12-2025, Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk?
Yes.
Councilman Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Umbreak?
Yes.
Ordinance 12-2025 is adopted. Ordinance number O-13-2025, ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the Town of Morristown, Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 40.2, handicap parking on streets for private residences, to amend the placard number assigned to a dedicated parking space for a resident of 50 Pine Street.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-13-2025.
Second?
At this time, I'll open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance O-13-2025 only. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Comments or questions? On the adoption of ordinance O-13-2025, Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk?
Yes.
Councilman Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Umbreak?
Yes.
Ordinance 13-2025 is adopted. There are 8 resolutions for adoption this evening. Would members of council like to pull any for separate consideration?
62, please.
Okay, with that, I would ask for a resolution to approve, I would ask for a motion to approve resolution numbers 60, 61, and 64 through 67-2025.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
On the adoption of those resolutions, Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk?
Yes.
Councilman Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Umbreak?
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution number R-62-2025, resolution supporting the New Jersey Climate Superfund Act, Senate 3545, Assembly 4696.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number R-62-2025.
Second?
Councilman?
So this was brought to my attention shortly before it was brought in front of the council, and all I want to say is my appreciation to both the administration and Council President for moving forward with this and showing support for it. I think it's really important, and I would hope our legislature actually acts on something. So thank you for bringing it forward. I appreciate it.
Well, and thank you to Mr. Dorsky for coming and joining us from Parsippany and sharing this with us and enlightening us with a lot of information. We appreciate you coming. We appreciate your time, and we're going to move forward with this. So thank you.
On the adoption of resolution R-62-2025, Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk?
Yes.
Councilman Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Umbreak?
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
Thank you very much. We have no unfinished old business, no new business. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?